Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for wanting to do this.
No, thank you so much for having me, honestly.
Yeah, so I could just jump around then before getting to Fire Emblem.
Sure, yeah.
So I did read that you're from New York and you always wanted to pursue acting.
Correct. I am originally from New York. Ever like since I was like little, I like begged my mom to do acting. And unfortunately, there's so many scams that we encountered one, and then I was too afraid to do anything else after that.
And you went to school for other stuff then, right?
Yeah, I ended up going to school. I got 2 degrees. I got 1 degree in human services, 1 degree in psychology, and then I was going to do physician assistant work, but switched to this.
Do you do VO full time now?
Yeah, I started finally doing VO full time, I believe this past summer,
Oh,
like
nice.
a little bit before, yeah.
What was your any kind of first professional gig that you got?
Um, I don't know. I guess technically my first like professional gig was doing some voice work for Ghost Data on
Okay.
his album. Full bodied, yeah.
And do you have plans to move to LA eventually, do you think?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. LA is very scary to me. The rent prices make my heart beat too fast.
Yeah. Well, it does look like that you work in pretty much every field of voiceover.
Yeah, or at least I've been trying to. Commercial work and me, I guess I'm just really bad at it. I need to take more classes.
So when Fire Emblem came through, was that kind of like a normal audition?
Yeah, it was kind of just a random email I got one day. And they have like codes and stuff. They don't tell you what it's really for. You just send your audition in. And I think I actually sent it in when my parents were visiting, so they were listening to everything. um, and I just kind of sent it in, and then they said, "Yeah, you got it." And then when it came to record is when I found out it was for Fire Emblem.
Were you like a fan of the franchise prior?
Yes. I love the games. I loved Fire Emblem Heroes. I actually downloaded it when it first came out in 2017. So this was like I was freaking out on the inside, but very calm while recording.
Mhm. It is pretty interesting too, because I've noticed in the past year that more people who live outside of LA and New York are being part of the game now.
Yes, and honestly, I'm very grateful for that. I'm really grateful that they're expanding how they're getting their actors because a lot of us really want to be a part of this and just can't go there.
Right. Was that Christian directing you or Caitlin or somebody else?
I'm sorry?
Was that Christian or Caitlin directing you, or was it somebody else?
Um, I honestly don't remember. It was so long ago. It was a couple different people on the call, because we had a lot to do. Uh, I can't, I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at names in general. I'm the best to keep an NDA though, because I don't remember anything.
Okay. Could you relate to her character at all, even though she's evil?
Um, Without spoiling too much, yeah, I would say. There's a lot of motives that I think will come out as the story goes on that really let you sympathize with the character a lot, or at least understand a lot of where she's coming from. And also like snakes, love snakes, so that was a win for me.
What about in terms of developing the voice that you used?
So the voice that I used in the audition was what they were like, we want that exactly, maybe like a little higher, which is what you guys ended up hearing. I originally had her kind of like lower like this type of voice. I wanted something a little bit higher, but essentially I saw the keyword snake and just went for it.
Yeah, it is cool because I mean you can kind of hear it in your normal voice, but listening to the lines, it's pretty different from like how you actually talk.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. She's definitely a voice that I like to do. She's obviously like more of like that snake vibe, but that kind of like villain-esque voice, I absolutely love to do. It's one of my favorite types of voices.
Mhm. Just in general, what do you think the case is where you've had to alter your voice the most for anything?
Um, I've been in a lot of things where I've had to do that. There is one game that one of the characters, essentially her whole thing is that she speaks like a radio, like think like Bumblebee in that one Transformers
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
So they were just like do anything. And so I was like, talk like this, and then like talking like this. So it was crazy.
And do you think that you have a preference to work on more dramatic stuff opposed to comedic?
Um, I kind of like both. I feel like I am more energized, clearly, like by comedic works. It's just a lot of fun doing them. Recently I've been able to do like a Harley Quinn-esque voice for a character, and that was thebomb.com. But dramatic voice acting is like it you would think like a sad scene would like make you feel awful at the end of the day, but for me, I don't know. It makes me feel like um I've kind of hit all the marks. I was able to do like a full cycle. It's just a good experience all around.
Hmm. What do you think the darkest headspace you've had to go for a project is?
Ooh. Um hmm. A lot of villain work obviously is kind of rooted in like what wronged you and, all that stuff. There's a couple things I can't say because of NDA specifically. But there are some times where it like relates to your own trauma that you're like, whoa, I need to take a break for a second.
Mhm. I suppose Gullveig isn't like super dark of a place to go for you.
Um, Not entirely. I mean, like the character itself is like very fleshed out, but the lines you don't really get to record like a monologue. It's very simple one-liner type of thing since it's a video game. Um, but to get that kind of feeling conveyed that you have been through things through the voice is a task in itself.
Mhm. Do you still actively play Heroes too?
Yes. And I somehow got everybody else to as well in my family. So I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
yeah.
What are your like favorite units?
Um, I have a couple. I have like teams for everything.
Right.
My favorite character though is not my own. Game's not loading. Yeah, it's not loading. I believe you pronounce her name like Tharja?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
So she's like the one that you'd like to use the most too.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's like usually in most of my teams. She's like the strongest character, honestly, that I have, which is maybe sad, but
What were your thoughts about Gullveig's design too when you first saw it?
Oh my God, I was in love. Oh, because when they show you the picture so you can get a better headspace when recording, but it's like reference art, and they're like, oh yeah, she's gonna have this and this and this, so you have to leave it to your imagination. And so I was waiting and waiting for her to be released. And then I saw the art and it was so beautiful. Golden snakes. Come on.
Well, I'm sure you saw the fandom response too, that everybody was like freaking out over that.
Yes. Oh my God. All three like main like characters that were shown up were just like beautiful. I was like over them and I was like, thank God I got this one though.
I think it's always been cool too that with the arcs and heroes are about Greek mythology that you can kind of, if you look that up, you can see like where things go.
hmm Yeah, yeah. Of course, like we can't say anything, but it's speculation, right?
What about any other games in the franchise? Are you like a big fan of?
Um, oh, poop. I forget the names. I have most of them on, like the handheld devices. I have one even on like a 2DS.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Yeah.
which is the one, I think I'm so bad with names. Which is the one with Takumi in it?
Oh, that's Awakening or
That's my favorite.
Fates. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That one.
I take it, are you probably a big like anime and anime game fan in general?
Yeah, yeah. I grew up loving anime, grew up loving video games. Surprisingly, I don't do either as much right now. I've been pretty busy just juggling everything at once, but I probably know something about everything, even if I haven't even watched it. Like I've always been like, "Oh, what's that about?" You know?
Mhm. Was Fire Emblem your first like dubbing experience for VO stuff or no?
No, I actually have a few other video games I've done, a few dubbing that NDA. um, there's also some stuff that, I've done as indie type of work for
Yeah.
people that are like, hey, I have this movie that was like recorded like live action in like Russian. I want it like dubbed in English, stuff like that.
I think it does help too that in terms of getting a lot of new names in, that a lot of dubbing is not not union.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's kind of tricky when you're a voice actor doing union and non-union because technically you don't need it,
Mhm.
but it does help you get like those bigger project type of deals. So,
One thing I didn't ask yet in regards to like voice alteration is I have found that do it talking to voice actors is that also do boy voices that they have like a process for that. If you also do boy voices.
I do boy voices. I've done a couple for like a few indie video games or audio dramas. That's the word. Um, my kind of headspace is kind of falling into that like little rasp because boys can sound feminine or more older into like puberty, but they have like a certain gravel.
Yeah,
Like I kind of sound like this, so like Ash Ketchum.
right.
Yeah. So I kind of just have it right here and just talk through mostly air.
So is there anything else that's upcoming you're part of you can safely talk about?
I have so many projects that just aren't being released. Um, Stay tuned for some anime and movies. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Um, there are a few indie games, right, that are still in development that have, been announced for me. So those are usually like visual type of games. So you're playing the story. Um, I did voice in Paladins a couple months ago, so that one's out already though.
Mhm.
Other than that, I got my hands tied.
Well, is there anything that you want to say to the Fire Emblem community then?
Thank you so much for having me. Like, I'm so thankful to be a part of this like community. I hope that you guys enjoy the work that I do and have done, and will do. And I really just want to keep playing the games. Like, keep them coming.
Mhm.
You can talk to me about them. Let's go.
Well, my final question then is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Ah, hmm. I always, this is probably gonna sound really stupid and cheesy, but I've always like talked to my friends about it, but I would love to one day have someone be like, she was a part of my childhood growing up. Because, a lot of voice actors aren't so much on the screen that, like A-list actors are, where you're like, oh yeah, they've always been here. When you grow up and you look back on it, you're like, oh, so and so was this. She was like who I grew up watching, and I didn't even know. So that's kind of what I'd like to hear eventually.
Mhm. Well, thank you. I'm glad that we got to do this.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sorry if I rushed anything.
Oh no, you're fine. Have a good rest of your day then.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Sorry. Bye.